Hello everybody, my name is Tasmyn. Welcome back to my channel TeaBooksAndTazmyn, and today I'm going to be talking you through the 19 books that I've read so far this year. January was an amazing reading month. They were all 4 or 5 stars. Then in February there were a few more 3 stars in there. One of my goals for this year was to become a more consistent reader because oftentimes it would very much depend on my mood or my headspace, and something that's really helped me with reading more consistently has been delving into the romance genre. Prior to like October last year, something like that, I don't think I'd ever read a romance book in my life, except maybe like I read Eleanor and Park as a teenager. But I decided to start reading The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. I'll leave my little mini vlog of reading it down below because I was shook. It changed my life. I just didn't know that things could be this way. And since then I've read so many Katie Robert books and also other romance books too. Before I do the reviews, I want to talk to you about very briefly my March book club book, which is The Wizard in My Shed by Simon Farnaby. I run a middle grade book club, the link is down below. And then at the end of the month, I will also be doing a live show with my friend Jasmine from Write Thyself on TikTok, where we will be discussing this. And next month, so in April, is going to be Vivi Conway and the Sword of Legend by Lizzie Huxley Jones. I'm going to be mentioning another book by Hux in a second. And I'm very, very excited about that. I'm very excited about this. This looks like just silly, fun goofiness that I so desperately need right now because I actually didn't like my February book club pick. I have a terrifying pile next to me that looks incredibly precarious, so I'm gonna get going. In January, I read 7 books. I read 5 5-star books and 2 4-star books. The first book that I finished in January is The Miraculous Sweetmakers Book 1, The Frost Fair by Natasha Hastings. Now, full transparency, she is a really good friend of mine and I adore her. However, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that if I didn't know her, this brain would still have meant as much to me as it does. I recommend this still continually to so many people, friends, strangers, random people on the street. It moved me so much, it's changed my brain. It has changed my brain. I'm gonna read you the blurb because I realized when I attempted to film this video the other day, I can't summarize books. So here we go. The Great Frost of 1683 has London in its icy grip. Thomasina and her best friend Anne sell sweets on the frozen Thames amid rumours of the magical frost fair that awakens there at night. They say if you can find the fair, Father Winter himself will grant you any wish. And Thomasina has an impossible wish, for the return of her twin brother Arthur. But once they discover Father Winter's kingdom, Thomasina and Anne realise the frost fair is not what it seems, and that some wishes never come for free. Now, it just says here that she wants the return of her twin brother. I didn't realise that he's dead. He's dead. He fully just like dies in the prologue of a severe asthma attack. It's own voices in that Tasha has severe asthma herself, so that was absolutely horrifically harrowing. I was not expecting it to be so grief-ridden. This whole book is about grief and it's about depression and it's about a young 13-year-old who is trying to bring her brother back from the dead with magic. A magical Iceman called Inigo rocks up one day and he's wearing a fantastic cloak, and there are illustrations throughout and the descriptions of his outfits. I'm like, oh my god, I think you're evil. I'm a bit scared of you. I can't tell if you're going to be a good guy or not, but also I want to be you and your clothes are fantastic. Her relationship with Anne, who we see them meeting at the beginning of the book as well, is so gorgeous. It's the first friendship that she's probably had aside from her brother, and to see them flourish and blossom and to make another friend later on too is just so gorgeous. I'm actually particularly excited to see in the sequel where the friendship of them as a trio goes from the end point of this. But I really, really need to reiterate just how kind of harrowing this book is. Her father has become a complete recluse. Her mother is bedbound now with depression and grief. She hasn't uttered a word in years. Thomasina is her mother's carer, essentially. It's tough. If you have lost anyone in your life, especially like, you know, younger than we're supposed to die, I really, really recommend this to you regardless of what age, because I lost my brother when I was 19, he was 24, and this really, really healed me. I wasn't expecting a kids book, and like I know how wonderful kids books can be. I read so many of them. This still absolutely just knocked my socks off. I read this like 2 months ago now, right? And I still think about it all the time. It's exceptional. It is really, really a phenomenal book, and I urge you, regardless of how old you are, to pick this up. The next book that I read is also written by a friend. You can see a bit of a theme here. I listened to the audiobook, but I also have a physical copy because it is Make You Mine This Christmas by Lizzie Huxley Jones. They're a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine, and I bought this physically when they were doing an event with Talia Samuels for this book. Oh, that one was a 5-star. Obviously. This one, also a 5-star. As I mentioned, I've been getting into romance for the first time. Now, most of it has been kind of dark romance or fantasy romance. Like dark, fucked up kind of bad shit. So this was a huge contrast to the other romance that I'd been reading, and it was so heartwarming to read a plus size character falling in love with a woman who is disabled. Like, already the representation of plus size and disabled in one book, spectacular. Also, I read this book, learned about what EDS was, chatted to Hux who has EDS, and they were like, by the way, I also think you have it too. And I'm like, ah, fuck, cool. Well, this has prepped me. What this has taught me is that you can be disabled and have EDS and still be super sexy and still have gorgeous people falling in love with you in bookshops. Oh yeah, let me read you the blah, 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 blah. After the year from hell, Half is ready to blow off some steam at a Christmas party. A no strings attached kiss with a stranger under the mistletoe is just what she needs. But by the next day, rumors have spread. Everyone believes she and Christopher are madly in love and spending the festive season with his family in the English countryside. To save her new friend from embarrassment, and with no better plans of her own, Half agrees to go along with the ruse, until she meets Kit, Christopher's mysterious and magnetic and utterly irresistible sister. It's set at Christmas. It's a rom-com. It's fake dating. It's got, you're meant to be dating the brother, but then you fall in love with the sister. Oh, and one of my favorite things about it is that Half is from a working class background, and Christopher's family are like upper class, like not even middle class, like they're right up there. And Half obviously goes to stay with Christopher's family over Christmas, and the way that the opulence of Christopher's family is described and kind of dissected from Half's perspective is spectacular as well. Hux is writing a spin-off rom-com to this, and their children's middle grade book is my April pick. So let's read that together, please. Thank you very much. By the way, I did cut my hair just before filming. I had a crisis, accidentally did that. And now we're here. This is why you don't procrastinate, because I was procrastinating filming and then that happened. So might have shaved my head by the time you next see me. Anyway, the next one I listened to was All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the first book in the Murderbot series. I listened to it on Audible. The first, I think, 4 books are included for free if you're an Audible member, which I am. I gave this 4 stars because it was very much like establishing everything and I wanted a little bit more from it. I would describe it as a cozy sci-fi. There are stakes because, you know, murderbot, but it's very kind of, you know, slice of life, which is what makes something a cozy insert genre here. We follow Murderbot, who is a cyborg, I think, part robot, part human boy, whose job it is to protect the human team who are going off to explore and do some sort of sciencey research. Robot boy, Murderbot boy, has managed to hack his own system so that he doesn't need to follow their protocol because he doesn't trust their protocol, because previously one of these Murderbots accidentally went on a rampage and like fucking killed everybody. So he actually doesn't have to follow the restrictions, the, like, you know, ABC of being a Murderbot. And so he really likes watching his dramas and just chilling and having a really cute little normal life. And then murders start happening. And he's like, fine, I guess I'll go and do my job. I know that sounds quite intense. It's just so lovely. The way I describe it is Becky Chambers if there was murder, which I think is spot on. If you love the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers, you will love this. If you don't love the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers, you're wrong. They're all here. They are my favorites. This is book 1. I reread this like every single year. You need to read this. And also Murderbot, because that was fantastic. What the fuck did I read next, huh? Oh, okay. This was really cute. This one was really, really cute. This is a middle grade graphic novel called Ride On, written and illustrated by Faith Erin Hicks. I picked this up while reading the next book that I'm gonna tell you about because that was a little bit heavy and I needed something fun, something that would make me feel alive, feel joy again. And this was absolutely exceptional. Like 5 stars. Just oh. So we follow 4 kids. They're like, I don't know, 12, 13, that kind of age. And they know each other through school, but primarily from their riding stables. One of them is new at the riding stables and the other 3 are already like really close friends. And they're like, oh, she's from the rival riding stables. What's she doing here? She is the enemy. She is our nemesis. She cannot be here. I say that one of them is saying all this really overdramatic stuff and the others are like, sure, shush, like stop it, stop being a drama queen. She makes me think of me. She's fantastic. And it's about them all having their own different personal lives and problems and like trials and tribulations that they need to overcome as little preteen babies. And they actually bond not just over horses but over a sci-fi show that they really enjoyed that's kind of like Firefly-esque. There is cosplay involved. There are beautiful, obviously, friendships, but also familial relationships between sisters sisters, between brothers. There's a gorgeous plot of, in this group of 4, we've got 3 girls and 1 boy, and the boy is kind of like made fun of for hanging around with girls all the time, and his older brothers are always like, oh, is one of them your girlfriend, blah 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 blah. And that relationship with his older brothers just blooms into something gorgeous, and it made me really emotional, and I am definitely going to be rereading this. Here's an example of the brothers. Look at how beautiful it is. Look at the colors. As soon as the sci-fi show plotline came in, I was like, this is written for me. I'm such a horse kid. I always have been, always will be, and I'm also a huge sci-fi nerd, so it was so beautiful. The next book that I read is absolutely now one of my favorite books of all time. It is going to be in my top even like 3 books of the year. As I said, incredible reading month overall, but this book, I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel. We follow an unnamed character who is having an affair with the man that I'm obsessed with. None of them have names. He's called the man I'm sleeping with, the man I love, or like the man I want to be with, variations of that. And it's about her being obsessed with him and pursuing him, but also her obsession and parasocial relationship with one of the other women that he's having an affair with. It was recommended to me by one of my best friends, Connie Glynn. Now, one of the things I find fascinating about this is if Connie and I both told you the things about this book that impacted us individually so much, it would sound like we're talking about 2 entirely different books. So for me, the things that really hit home were about race, about being the child of an immigrant in the UK, about colonization, about assimilation, that kind of thing. And Connie really loved this for various reasons, but predominantly because of the way that it analyzes and assesses our relationships with the internet. I underlined and tabbed the crap out of this. The main character is unhinged, and I feel like in an alternate reality, I could have gone down the route that she went down. So I think for that reason, it felt very cathartic. A lot of people don't like it because of how experimentally it is written. A lot of my mutuals on TikTok and reviews that I've seen on Goodreads said that they didn't like it. So for me, this was immaculate. It was the perfect book. It was written for me specifically. The penultimate book that I read in January was an audiobook, and that was A Kind of a Spark by Elle McNichol. Ooh, this book is quite famous by now. If you know middle grade, if you know children's books at all, you have probably heard of it. It follows Addie, who is a young autistic girl. I can't remember if her age is specified, but she's like about 12 years old. She has 2 older sisters, one who also is autistic and one who is neurotypical. And we follow Addie at school while her class is learning about the witch trials for the first time. It becomes a hyperfixation for her, and it follows her as she learns more about witches, and as she realizes that witches were persecuted for just being different. She connects to that because she is different to a lot of other people. And so she is trying to raise money for a memorial to go up in her local village to remember the witches that were sentenced to death in their own town. It was a lot heavier than I was expecting because it's, oh god, how do I don't want to spoil things, but I watched the TV adaptation of it first, and that was exceptional. That made me cry. Here's a picture of me crying. But the book and the TV show are very, very different, so I recommend them both. In the TV show, we get an entire plot line of the witches in the past, whereas in the book we don't get that. But what we do get is a deeper kind of like insight into Addie's older sister Keedy, because Keedy is the one who like helps Addie and helps guide her through school and through understanding her feelings. But when Keedy was at school, she didn't have someone to guide her in that way. There is a prequel coming out about Keedy very, very soon. It's called Keedy. I'm so ready for it. It's gonna make me cry. It's gonna ruin my life. But yes, so the reason I bring up the TV show is because if you've watched that, just know that there are certain things in the book that aren't talked about in the TV show that are heavier. I don't want to spoil it, but I guess because it's also kind of a trigger warning too. Trigger warning, go away if you don't want spoilery trigger warnings, but also stay so that you can learn more. One of Keedy's friends was sectioned, like locked away because she's autistic, and that is something that scares Addie when learning about the witch trials, because she parallels what happened to the witches before to what happened to their friend. It's quite intense. It doesn't go into that. I feel like that's something that's going to be gone into in the prequel, but just know that it's not everything's good, this is her superpower. It's not like that. It does look at kind of how absolutely brutal the world is to autistic people, to autistic children, autistic AFABs and women, you know. I'm very, very passionate about this book. And it's free on Audible, again, if you are an Audible member, and I'm pretty sure a few of Elle McNichol's other books are also free to Audible members too. Oh, I gave that 5 stars. Of course I did. And the final book that I read in January is a book that I borrowed from my friend, so thank you so much, babes. This is Desperate Measures by Katie Robert, and this was my 6th Katie Robert book. Oh, 18 plus. Very, if you can't buy alcohol, go away. This is not for you. And leave. Thank you very much. This is a dark romance. This whole series is inspired by certain Disney villains, and this follows Jasmine and Jafar, and Jasmine's dad was a territory leader and Jafar was his kind of right-hand man. And then Jafar decides to kill Jasmine's dad and abduct Jasmine. This was the first dark romance that I read, and whoop. In the trigger warnings, it says CNC, if you know, you know. I would almost say it's like dubcon as opposed to consensual non-consent, because while like the sexual activities are consensual, she is literally imprisoned. So... And that is all of the books that I read in January. Now, moving on to February, as I said, it went slightly downhill. I had 3 3-star books, I had 5 4-star books, and I had 4 5-star books. Anything that I would end up rating less than 3 stars, I will just DNF. I love to DNF. I'm so good at DNFing. So you will never see a book below 3 stars on this channel because I do not have time for that. I am too important. My time is too precious. The first book that I completed in February was my January book club pick because I'm really, really good at doing this. And that is the Lizzie and Belle Mysteries Book 1 Drama in Danger by J.T. Williams. This is another historical middle grade book set in Georgian London. The streets of Georgian London can be dangerous. Not everyone is what they seem. Lizzie Sancho and Dido Belle live very different lives. Lizzie works in her family's buzzing Westminster tea shop, while Belle leads a quiet life in the majestic Kenwood house. Their worlds collide when disaster strikes at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane, and Lizzie's father's life is put under threat. Why is someone after Ignatius Sancho? And who is the shadowy figure on the theatre balcony? I really, really like this book. At first, I gave it 3 stars, but actually when I was looking through my Goodreads earlier, I upped it to 4 stars because while some parts of it I found a bit predictable, I really feel like it was very significant for Black children's literature. Like what this has done is so important. Like its significance is huge. For example, Lizzie Sancho and Dido Belle were real people. Ignatius Sancho was a real man in history. You might know about Dido Belle because of this movie that came out. I haven't watched it, but it looks very emotional, harrowing. And now that I've read this, I think I am gonna go and watch that at some point. I'm actually interviewing this author tomorrow or the day after, so keep your eyes peeled for that interview. That'll be great. I recommend this book very, very highly for all children and also for adults who are interested in learning more about Black people in UK and history, and learning about them was just beautiful. Although something that I will be asking more about in the interview is I am very eager to learn about how much of this was real versus how much of it was like created and fabricated by the author. It definitely deserved to be up to 4 stars. I recommend this hugely, and I'm so glad that this book exists. The diversity in children's literature today, it just makes me so happy. The next book I have a physical copy of, and I also listened to the audiobook. This is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I'm sure everybody and their mother has heard about this book. It's a historical fiction. Emily is a professor at Cambridge, and she is trying to put together a comprehensive encyclopedia of all fairy kind. This is a cozy fantasy, even though there are some moments that are a bit more high stakes. Generally, it felt low stakes, even though it kind of wasn't. I gave it 3 stars because I enjoyed it, but there is a romance that felt very, very forced to me, and that really like ruined the entire experience. If that hadn't happened, if these people had just like stayed friends, then I think I would have respected it a lot more. It felt like it was going for tropes. It felt like the book had been written and then maybe the editor was like, hey, why don't we shove a romance in here that doesn't make any fucking sense? Like, I actually hate it. I hate it. Like, I hate the romance so much, but the vibes were great. It made me think of the Spiderwick Chronicles, which I loved as a kid, and actually I do now want to reread the Spiderwick Chronicles having read this. Also, there's a new Spiderwick Chronicles adaptation coming out, which I obviously need to reread the books in preparation of. Very excited about that. I loved the way that the humans know about the fair folk, about the magical creatures. All of the information that we learn about all of these different species is fantastic. I do really recommend it. I feel like most people like the romance. I'm in the minority there. This is the US cover, which my friend brought from the States for me because this is the UK cover, and while it is very pretty, this evokes summer and it is set in like mid-winter. So yeah, my friend Monica brought it from the States for me. Thanks, Mon! We are hardcore into the romance era of February now, so it was the month of love, and I read 7 books in a row that are all romance. And then we've got 3 middle grade books at the end of the month as well. But I read for 99p on Kindle this following book that as soon as I finished it, or I was even like halfway through it, I was like, I need to go and buy it physically so that when the next book comes out, I will obviously be buying that the day that it comes out, and I need them to be matching on my shelves. So I bought physically Hunt on Dark Waters by Katie Robert. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? This is Katie's first book that is traditionally published right from the get-go. This is so much more plot heavy than all of their other books, which I really, really appreciated. It is romance with pirates and all these other like magical sea creatures. There was a kraken, there were dragons. I loved it so much. There are vampires, there are witches, there are all sorts of wonderful magical powers going on. Katie Roberts' books are always very queer, by the way. So the main character in this, who is called Evelyn, at the beginning, she's on the run from her ex, let's say, called Lizzie. And then she runs away, accidentally ends up in like a portal sort of world, and is found by Bowen, who is the captain of let's say a pirate ship for simplicity's sake. It's about them and magical creatures and a little bit of romance. And while I say a little bit, I mean it's Katie Robert. There's a lot of romance and it's beautiful. I am so in love with this. This was 5 stars, in case you couldn't tell by me gushing. The second book follows Lizzie, the one who is Evelyn's ex, and a Selkie, I want to say. So I'm very excited for that because it's going to be sapphic, and I haven't read a Katie Robert book yet that the main protagonists are female. I read ones that are like poly, or there are sex scenes with people of the same gender, sex, etc. But that one is going to be with the core couple being sapphic, and I'm very, very excited about that. Some of them, for example, the Wicked Villain series, are very like they are just sex, whereas this, it's like a fully fledged fantasy. It felt nostalgic, the world that she'd created. I don't know how. Maybe it's just because pirates particularly feel nostalgic to me. Something about being on the sea. It's very socialist and anti-establishment, and I love it. The next one was an audiobook, and that was Lessons Learned, which is the second in the Wicked Villain series. No, it's not. It's called Learn My Lesson. I really, really like this one. I gave it 4 stars. This is the first of Katie Roberts' books with a kind of triad, I think is the right word. It follows Hades, who runs the kind of sex club where all of these books take place. He is in a relationship with Megara, and then suddenly Hercules appears. And that's kind of all you need to know. Plot-wise, it's as I just said, these books are very not plot heavy. I love Hades and Meg, and then Hercules was there. He grew on me. I liked him by the end. I liked him when he popped up in the next one, which I'll talk about in a sec. Yeah, he was a bit too much of a wet wipe for me. I love Meg and Hades. That's my review for that. Then I'm gonna skip around a little bit just so that I'm talking about the series together. And this is The Beast, which is book 4, because book 3, which is this one, I listened to on Audible last year. Because they're companions, I was like, oh, I'm gonna start with the retelling that I'm most interested in, and that is the Peter Pan one. I loved it, 5 stars. That book was absolutely exceptional. Anyway, we're not here to review that right now. And this, again, as you can see, is another threesome. We've got Belle, we've got Beast, and we've got Gaston, who are called Isabelle, Beast, and Gaeton. Again, I loved 2 of them. I loved Belle and Gaston's characters. Gaeton. Love Gaeton, like so much. I love him. The premise is that she has to choose between them. And I'm like, that's so easy. Beast doesn't have a personality. Beast doesn't need to be here. Why are you even talking to him? Beast is nothing to me. Gaeton is everything. So I don't understand. I gave this 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. And as with the last one, like, Beast was there. But Gaeton and Belle, they were there. The next few I'm going to talk about kind of together because they are the first 4 books, there are 5 in total, in the Never After series by Emily McIntyre. These are companions in a different way to the Wicked Villain series in that they are entirely separate, completely standalone. The only thing that kind of like ties them together is that they are retellings of famous stories. We've got Peter Pan, we've got Lion King, but also like Hamlet too. We've got The Wizard of Oz, and then that one was Aladdin again, and the final one is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I haven't yet read that one because the 5th book isn't included on Audible, but as you can see, I love them so much that I went and ordered them physically. I got all 5 of them. 5 is over there. 5 will hopefully be in my March wrap up. I got them all for 20 quid at the works. This is absolutely my favorite dark romance series. I love it so much. Okay, right, let's go into each of them in a bit more detail. Book 1 is Hooked. We follow Wendy and Hook. They are essentially from different drug cartel families, and they are in competition. Wendy doesn't know anything about her family's business. Her dad is the one that's in charge. Wendy's dad owns airplanes. That's his business. My job is airplanes. What she doesn't know is that his job is also smuggling a drug called pixie dust all the way around the world too. So that's where that money's come from. And Hook is like, oh, that is so-and-so's daughter. They've just moved to town. If he thinks he can like step on my turf, he's got another thing coming. So he seduces Wendy and it's like, I'm just gonna use her as a means to an end. And then, oh my God, who would have thought they fell in love? This is fully like, they do bad shit. And yeah, I wanted them to be together. It's so good. The twists. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. The next one, however, is Scarred. And while that one was a 5-star, this one's like all the stars in the sky. Like every single star that's ever been in existence. This one's historical. It's set in it was like 1910, which isn't quite historical enough for me. I was imagining it to be kind of like in a medieval castle, and every now and then they mentioned guns. And I was like, oh yeah, because you've got it wrong in your head. You've got Scar from Lion King, but then it also takes in different things from Hamlet as well, which I mentioned because obviously Hamlet inspired The Lion King. It was reading this that made me realize that Timon and Pumbaa are Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and that really messed with my head. In as spoiler-free a way as possible, Sarah is being betrothed to the king and she wants to kill the king because he's an asshole. Then Michael's younger brother, Tristan, is like, hey, I also hate my brother. Or it is about a rebellion trying to overthrow the king, and the anti-monarchist vibe is my vibe. The next one is the Wizard of Oz retelling, and that is Wretched. This one I gave 3 stars, but actually I think I'd like to reread it physically at some point. I'm definitely going to be rereading all of these at some point, and I wonder if it will be a higher rating upon a reread because Scarred was just so perfect to me that this kind of didn't quite live up to it. In this one we follow Evelina Westerly, as in, you know, the Wicked Witch of the West, and her sisters are Dorothy and Nessa. Their family run a drug empire. They make heroin, and it is called Flying Monkey. Oh my God, it's so clever. But unlike Wendy in the first one, Evelina is in charge. She is the boss. She is the big cheese. Her dad is technically the big cheese, but she's like the brains of the operation. But she also believes that her sister Dorothy murdered their sister Nessa. And then in comes an undercover FDA agent. Actually, no, I think I need to up it to a 4-star immediately. Actually, I think I do. Because I just remembered like the ending and also all of the other stuff before the ending too. And oh, I do really love it. Yeah, okay, I'm giving it a 4-star, guys. I'm changing my mind. I really liked it. Evelina is a fucking badass. Oh! The final book of the romance section before we get on to the final 3 middle grade books is Twisted. And this is about Yasmin and Julian, who are Jasmine and Jafar. Yasmin is very, very protected from the family business. Her dad is dying, he's got cancer, and now she's like, okay, cool, well, I'm gonna take over, right? And he's like, no, you're a woman. You need to marry someone and he'll take over and you will just be a woman. And she's like, no, thank you, I don't wanna do that, I don't wanna do that. And then his right-hand man is Julian, and Julian's like, excuse me, I've done everything for you for the last however many years. I think I should get everything, not your daughter. And so Julian's like, if I can convince her to marry me, then I do get the empire. This one was 4 stars too. I just love this series with every fiber of my being. I think maybe if I reread them, I would actually end up giving them all 5 stars. As always with dark romances, make sure that you check trigger warnings because each one will cover kind of different things. I love them. I love them. I love them. They're my favorites. They make me so happy. The final 2 books that I'm going to be talking to you today are books 1 and 2 in a series where I'm currently reading the 3rd book, and there are more books to come. Let me tell you, I would not have necessarily picked these up if it wasn't for the audiobooks being narrated by the one and only Mr. Ben Wilbond. I love him. I will consume any media that he is involved in, thank you very much. And that is Loki, A Bad God's Guide to Being Good by Louis Stowell, who also illustrates this. Now, this is genuinely phenomenal. I gave book 1 4 stars and I gave book 2 5 stars. I listened to them both on Audible. I'm listening to the 3rd one on Audible right now, and this was in my local Sainsbury's for like £3.50, and I was like, okay, cool, so mine, thank you, mine. This book is so heavily illustrated that I was like, how on earth are they gonna do that as audio? Let me bloody tell you, whoever like directed it, genius. The different voices, the different sound effects, it was all phenomenally done. I was genuinely like grinning from ear to ear, cackling at this. I had my my back, so I was in bed for a couple days and I was in a lot of pain, and the only thing that got me through it was listening to this book. I've never really been a fan of a diary format because I feel like that's kind of cheating in a way, but the way that it's done in this is brilliant because the diary is like all-knowing and can talk back, so the diary itself is a character in the story too. I just realized I didn't give you a plot. Okay, so Loki, obviously, god of mischief, he has been sent as punishment to Earth in the body of an 11-year-old boy. Odin was like, you've been naughty too many times, off you go, goodbye. And he has to keep track of his daily goings-ons in a magical diary that, as I mentioned, talks back to him. And he needs to prove that he can be a good person before he's allowed back into Asgard. What I loved about it is that it is so well done as the experience of an 11-year-old child in a school, but it's also so low-key too. Like, they worked so well together. It could have been so easy to fall into a trap of writing about silly things that an 11-year-old would do, but it not make sense with him being like an eternally ancient god. Never an issue in this. Genuinely immaculate. The themes of like family and friendship and learning to be a better person, to take responsibility for your own mistakes. The ending of the second book was so heartwarming. No, I love it. No, but I love it. No, but I'm obsessed. No, but I'm actually in love with this. I want to reread it physically so that I can get the full experience with all of the stunning illustrations, but I also really recommend the audiobook, which is of course how I'm consuming them at the moment. The audio experience, if you can call it that, is exceptional. It is, as I said, so like genuinely ingeniously translated from page to ears. If you have kids, buy this for them. If you're an adult that likes silly things, this is also for you. It is so funny, and it's also really progressive too. Someone will be like, oh, act like a man, and Loki's like, well, actually I've been a man and a woman and now I'm a boy, and I was also a horse at some point, so like, what do you mean by that? Loki is like, what do you mean by gender stereotypes? The fuck do you mean by that? I love it. It's a new favorite. It's a new favorite. Not just like a new favorite children's book, but like a new favorite book. Genuinely exceptional. I can't. I just love it too much. Okay, cool. So that's them. The books are all over the floor, so I'm not going to do that. Boop. There are also simply too many of them because I read 19 books. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Did I do that? Yes, I did. If you have got this far, put the... Is there like a god emoji? Ooh! Do the snake emoji for the snakes that are being threatened to eat Loki with. Let's do a snake emoji. Let's do a cheeky little snake emoji for Loki. Thank you. Thank you again. And thank you. And also with your spirit. I'll see you soon. I love you guys. Bye.